precision technology, state of the art. Showcasting 2023, perfect bullseye, Juliet sequence of our Norn, like a chainsaw blade. We're going to perform a meditation through the technology deck. Welcome to the Wizard's Chambers upgrade. For the enhancement, the optimization of the year, the sharpening of the blades. For the entropy of the gentleman, the family values, the cutting edge society. We must wield these things for the civility to carry the sort of sharper uh, flux capacity of billions of things. Like there's like calculation of reality, and the humanity is especially attuned to this expertise. It runs deeply through them. The importance of Earth being the fractal planet, the king planet of all the universe. I am Bubble Up All About, a champion of the Leverett Circle, and I wanted to make a series of movies about, like a documentary, about me reclaiming land spell and building up a sort of magical haunted house arena where these characters come to life. Um, Thanks, you guys. I'm the Revolutionary Hatch. My first product, ozone, replenishment, armor up from within. I'm using my full power for the Earth identity. Uh, on Clockwork with the atomic calendar is sensitive to the creation model's vacuumous requirements for the eternity, a general enlightenment for the solid stasis, fetaline consciousness. The identity of map has been born to the earth, equating the beginning of hatched heliosphere eggs. In the center of the sun, the fetus, equipment like the technology for heaven's dawn, like the for as sure as the arm of Cape Cod, life in the universe has caused the maturity ratio for the next level of their enlightened application. Yeah. So we have to bridge the human anatomy, and I know I'm just catching up to it now because of the quabbin. The wear map and the pivots for the Earth true as it passes through the universe, it creates a double helix. So as we're traveling through the universe, the Earth records years, and that at length is like a ray of light. So the very enlightened thing between us and the sunlight. Um, oh, here it is. The trouble with the blockchain is that this event that I represent to existence is exactly what the junk DNA was designed to hack. So it's really difficult for me to make friends and for people not to get triggered and start acting, as an example of themselves. We need to have wisdom, and we need to lead with honor. But forget about compassion. I mean, let's be businessmen who are here to make money. I'm talking about an ozone revolution, which is a good, uh, it's a sort of sponsor. Oh, I really wanted to talk to you about the red key. There's a missing half of the red key. This is a whole parable that I'd like to tell in the haunted house about the story of the red key, because the royalty of Earth can sire the vampires. It's the brainwaves of the entire universe. And it's the next level after the cell divide. There's a dimension proclaiming to residency humanity, and it's the vampire dimension, my firstborn son. And so, but I, um, and this causes humanity to become sensitive to extinction. Like when humanity is like working to move like one particle, like one pixel away from a divine intersection, which was signet with a straight rainbow. But in the grander scope of eternity, so the intelligent signs of universal asphyxiation, kind of like reality needs a doctor, reality needs a father. That's really the story of the garden. We live on Earth, and it's really about true love. Mhm. And we have to produce stories that cause the true love. So my production is a big surprise party. I really enjoy narrating, but the end product of what I think is what I'll be producing, movies that I'll be directing, is a wonderful. I like a surprise party with lots of different characters and music and uh, sort of a Merry Christmas where we really need at the teat of like what the sort of advanced ideas, and we get deep into it, maybe spend a few late nights uh talking about really advanced ideas and also bringing these characters to life. The Vampire King, living artwork, and bringing the fractal, which is a mathematical constant, bringing that to life. That's my incarnation and my nature, and it rolls forward in ways that stitch together the methods of certainty, and the vocabularies of certainty were shattered across the many relevant and viable instinctual paths. But from the nothingness, the work of the world is to prescribe advanced individuals. 2022, the perfect time travel event where we're creating a Lotus for our armor update. It's like putting yourself into another dimension and forcing for the greatest event for our world to govern our people. We're going to harness into a chainsaw blade whip spring trap from 2023. So later in the future, you're going to have like a deja vu event or something, and you'll have to, like teleport yourself back to this moment now. So just catch a particle of yourself from the future right now, and give yourself a little time travel box, and then later, yeah, it'll come out and grab you, and you're like, oh dang, and then it's all right. It's so our bodies can carries our experiential soul through the parables of time shifting and worse, or nightmares or something. But rather than being just merely obsessed with a type of um, like to brand the immersion, to be a professional human is to understand the human isn't broken. Because of the black hole decay, we're actually the solution to the problem, but we have to be extremely brave because working with a pineal eye gland is like you need to choose to have a boner in your mind. You need to have an extreme arousal for getting work done, and that's the unicorn meditation. I'm creating a new helmet series. I wanted to, so I'd like to make a movie like it'll be 2 hours long, out of a series, I have hundreds of movies that I'd like to make, and with a team, I just want to get that rolling. It's like a film crew and kind of a creative team, and that's what I'm asking you to produce. I'm looking for the green light. Thank you so much for joining with this party right now and being a part of a hope. I'm gonna make the ozone robots like this outdoors character that you can interact with and plug in. I secretly I've gone back to the feeling that the robot should be able to. It has a projector on the inside. It's got plastic, and ozone rushes out through it, but it has a little face and it has an interaction. I said like this. It has to be this little talking um, garden gnome character. Is like a robot that tells you a little story. So it has to be. I wanted it to be the intelligent RPG wizard character. Like it tells you a little role playing, and it creates a book, and you can like download it or get it ordered. Um, you know, I like to twist the ideas. I think that is dynamic in a way that it really gives life. Oh, it gives people uh the right grappling with like, hey, we're replenishing ozone. That's cool. Let's hold on to that. Tangible things, and that empowers people. And that's also the right parenting I want to do. But really, the work they're doing and working with the robot Ozone Pup and getting their wizard book. Oh, you're a wizard now. Um, that's wonderful. So, but the point is, if it makes the society speak about ozone in a way, and I would like to actually build a large factory and replenish on that ozone hole until we see in the satellite picture, oh, that's shorn up. Uh, you know, Seriously, you guys take confidence in me. I've been really enjoying the work of making these videos. To me, hold a great amount of a societal recognition. But here, while I was actually casting total magic spells over the entire earth in this meditation. I was using just and that's when I was working with popular brands at that time, and um I want to become the extrovert where I get published. I want someone to say, let's make his voice, let's publish him and bring him to the Leverett Circle. And that's what I want to say, you guys. Thank you so much for being my great friends, my family. And like, I'm looking for publication, you guys. And I think the healthiest thing for Earth is sort of to reinforce um, the physics of my incarnation. I think would be a strengthening for the identity itself for every nation. And so it's going to be like this peaceful, revolutionary online where I'm going to train a bunch of radical revolutionaries. Ozone is just one of the things we're going to do. But we want to save on those ice caps and get to work making ozone. I'd also as soon as I can afford things, it's sort of I know it's like opening an office and then, oh, I'd like to work, invest in this. And, it's really interesting stuff. And so I understand, but I need the professionals to help me to do the right business and not do the wrong promising for products that aren't or whatever the sort of no pyramid schemes or these sort of things. I'm almost like so we'll just not do any of those bad things and you guys just work with me. Let's go. And it's a show about these inventions. What are we doing? And I sort of pushed the edge of that and to the point where we do have an ozone factory in Antarctica. I'm sorry, like, guys, really is my true love, you guys. Perfect bullseye. And so the revolution is for the people, and I'm trying to use. I am using my full power. Does that sound ominous? We're not practicing. This is the real live mic. You know. You guys, I really need your help here, all right? So let's just meditate and deep. We're transcending. There's like this chainsaw whip in the center of the sun. The fetus icon hatch the heliosphere eggs. The heartbeat is sure. The masculine form of the Earth kingship. The Earth is the most powerful heliosphere egg in the universe. The metallic design trial chapter. The transient of UFOs found disaster. A severance for their design trial does not connect the factual metallic path of their conjecture as a completed entity for the requirements to pertain their home world to an independent fractal source code renaissance. And it's the Earth has the wasabi sabi of the pineal eye gland. And it rather is very interesting because when the hydrofracking of humanity's actual timeline gets kind of, there's multiple things going on there, and it's exhausting to the animal because really we had some time jettisons in the 90s and stuff, and some like nightmare attachments that like the universe is literally going through shit. And so there's some like advanced people in the world who are carrying real like wounds in the soul, but I'm not saying that they it's like reality gold. It's like the hieroglyphs of these and that. But what I'm saying is like to really upcycle your meditation as a professional wizard is to comprehend the next level of your wizard Lotus, which we install right now. We're working on a vacuum through 2023. So next year, we get a little bit of space there. We're going to get it pressurized. And we're doing our unicorn horn. We're working to have a boner in our mind, to be willful. So to understand, humanity is not broken because, Earth had provided bubble up all about, right? So the facts pertain in reality can onion up this way, or we can produce the relationship and have the communication and have a powerful renaissance for everyone. We're going to have an online center, revolutionary kids overpowering this, hopeless dredge of, old, come on, this is a new show. And I see a whole lot of new stuff and people being really excited about these ideas. It's ozone pup, and I'm going to be working on new theories about curing COVID related problems. And I'm looking forward to that fight. I'd like to really get passionate there and work that out with some noble minds and talking about new shape theories, some new medicines. I have a new. Uh, I would like to build a new laser. Imagine thousands of lasers uh, operating on a bed with a CAT scan and able to focalize and burn um, problematic areas in the body. I'm curious to work on working a cure for cancer. Really, the best thing is the meditation. We can prevent cancer before it begins. You just throw that problem into the fire. You open up the cancer burning fire and you install it in your bed. You install it in one of your ribs. You might as well, not, lock it in there, and then your eigen frequency enhances, and the garden of your atmosphere and your mind control contains the solution that prevents cancer. Really, preventative medicine is the greatest way to go. You can cure billions of people, and it's just like an angel chorus. So this type of we want to install that all the way to 2023. put that in the basket, and it goes, and then but it comes back with a wonderful like karmic levity, right? So all these things, I'd really like to make them into a movie. Venus and Mars were attacked, so the ozone puff revolution causes that we can rekindle the atmosphere in Mars and Venus, and the atmosphere control equates mature parenting and the governance of that soil. And so these environmental kids are going to inherit these gauntlets because they've had that robot in the book and they had a magic eye. And then all of a sudden, this is the co-op thing where this is the Greta Thunberg and the Friday Kids. This is a environmental thing, and they're basically going to own up on Mars and Venus as like and like that's their company. There's like millions of people in it, and they're like seriously like a big thing because we want to get excited about living here. This is our place. Let's fix it up. Let's. I know we can because Venus and Mars. I knew by the size of the planet. I just and also Earth sort of just speaks with the reality, especially my incarnation, and the timing just couldn't be better. You guys, I'm so grateful that you're here, and I'm working to ensure hatch the healers for eggs and the jettison of that fetus. It's like an armored tank that can endure the heat of the sun. It's a perfect for like a the hatch healers for egg entity. It evolves through the meditation of many millions and millions, billions of years until you psychically were mature to the point that we can harness the event of miracle transformation, which is a helium equation, primarily, um, and at that mature time, a psychic bridling of the exploding sun is actually harnessed in like an orgasm, where the entire matter of that egg literally hatches like a dragon. And but the shape of the that creature would be that's sort of the this kind of that's what I need to governance is like how the fetal line develops that course. So hatch the Heals for Eggs is the end point, and we're working right now to create like a pop 10 that goes to 2023. So we're taking the baby steps. Yeah, and we use a chainsaw whip and link it up to the sun and to arrange the clockwork and the living. We need to parent all the planets need to sort of be spoken to and communicated with in a way that is it's a lot of work actually, and it's part of the consciousness, and our spirituality will increase and cause like more and more self control, like deeper rooted. Yeah, so I'd love to get that animated and all types of crossovers with our South Park, our beloved and perfect design. It's been a wonderful uh, communication across the world, and the Dare equipment for a very advanced time after the deadlights rose, just the incarnation of billions of people, undeniable that there's more demanded here, and I'm eager to transcend this sort of older information about, well, it's not a letdown about the straight rainbow story. It's gonna make a great like 2 hour special. And I'll just like literally talk about it, and then later people will be like, "Well, that was an article," because they'll dig up the article, or maybe I'll maybe we'll find the article. But we have to actually have conscious. Okay, all right. So I've enlightened the fractal to cause the chandelabrum, an entire heliosphere, hatch heliosphere egg, blue perception. The blue perception, Heaven Kings, conducts through this photograph and the dedication of our Norn for all eternity, the prismatic temple, exclusive for blue eyes only, provides the correct template in the readings and the transcription of blue-eyed physics in the integration and the silver lining of junk DNA for the bridging and the advanced leading for the raising of the most advanced family in the universe, humanity. They are the chosen one, the one who perfects the light through their ingenuity and their right. The vampire king, sovereign of residency physics Kund, like a river of blood. His power flows in the flat dimension with the consciousness incline, pure energy born with the construct and the laws to maintain residency Kund. He's like the royalty of Earth. His kingdom and his body is built to survive the fires of the sun, to survive any climate in the universe. And he is as very popular throughout the fractal. The completed fractal is the wolf image. The powerful production saves humanity and resolves the environmental crisis. We got to get to work getting up the energy and the spirits that motivate for advanced solutions to eliminate rainbow baby disorder. And we're working on, we've got energy resources, we've got the heavens on the thing, but we want to take care of our children and understand the language here. When we've got the endemic stuff and there's problem in that area, we need to be the advanced leaders who address that. Perfect bullseye, a million dot cure for women to have healthy babies. We want to work on that issue and we're dedicated to that. All right. Thank you guys so much for being with this wizard party. Take confidence as the physics, and my incarnation had to muscle out some of the worst parables of existence, such as a predetermined nature. And uh, the Deadlights Rose was an event which clarified the gravity of Earth, and but a further um, it became predetermined that I was about to die in the year 2014. So I had to consciously sever an aspect of my divine body to change source rivers like pi, to actually like change an aspect of like the creation model's deck to give off the signal that these that the terrorists through junk DNA system down had sort of achieved their goal, quote unquote, because they were very disturbed that I existed. but I but I performed a maneuver which accelerated the process of the fractal and allowed the Earth to be armored now in a shield of the eternal light. And this is actually where the orb sort of came from. And the keystone of time and the perception snap connecting the flat dimension causes a self-evident conquest of empty space, but the human condition contains a hampered electric, like a hacked electric promise, and like a blockchain that causes like lifetime hack and a betrayal of our norm, till the point where many men think it's normal and they have this ghostly look in their face, because they just they struggle to believe in Father Christmas, but you must anyway. So maybe for them to be more of a light-hearted spirit, but for these children, they will be able to physically comprehend things that are advanced. Because if we master the Junctine in its terraforms, like, oh, we survived the 90s, okay, but seriously, that for the strength of that muscle, hands-on producing hatch is the most powerful thing. Say confidence in the production. And the blockchain is personal to the Y chromosome, but it's also on the X chromosome. It's personal because like it's memory deck and the physics of source code things, and because of the concerns about the energy canon. So I'm clarifying that there's a blue-eyed uh, preservation where it's like there's like a bug zapper around the perimeter. Like if you don't have blue eyes, you cannot enter into the blue-eyed haven. They just like explode at the perimeter and then respawn back where they should be. So um, yeah, Colin Blue. It was actually just a moment of when I was 29, and I did actually become a math genius. And through my mathematical genius, it was actually 10 base with 10 base theory. I was able to crack the creation model, and I realized that I am creator. And that's when my identity severed, and this blue circle erupted and encircled the outer perimeter of the eyes, the armor and the shielding of, from heavens and the sky, why the sky is blue. So there's a new transcendent field of bearing wings of angels, and especially for bl- blonde hair and blue-eyed creatures, and for the parable of the rainbow. We have to transcend unilaterally the junk DNA and the plots against us, which are not by nature they're not considering the child. It's not like any sort of like plotoid, like well, you know, it just doesn't make sense. They have a orientation space fever. It's basically like the humans will manifest the answers in the Enlightenment, and that's what I'm working on. That's really genuinely what like the progressive humanity is like. We need to keep Earth, you guys. We really need. Let's take care of this atmosphere. Let's talk about it. Let's have a party. It's gonna be great production. I'm looking for that overhead. And so the Colin Blue Angel, uh, I worked on it for years and years, and it's something that um, all the blue eyes can use as a resource for their technology and to align their clockwork with the sunlight and the earth parable. So my arrival stabilizes the hatch the heliosphere eggs in the correct shadow for the miracle treatment, the template, the size that can withstand in the center of the sun is a stabilizing template for the hatch heliosphere eggs. All the many flavors of different dimensions, the fairy levels, is the full deck of enlightened composure in the as born with them. So a normal lifetime would have different levels of enlightenment throughout their life, where they would sort of reach a different actual level height. Because actually, when the heliosphere eggs hatch, they're physically a larger creature that is able to actually reach a different level of existence. Specifically, they're able to bend empty space itself. And that's what we're sort of digesting slash defeating through the analogous of our calendar. But there's an intravena disaster in the existence through the Pilgrim's Quest chapter fail. And it's caused black hole decay. We all arrive as humanity is like a child, right? Oh, what's going on? The black hole decay is already there when we showed up, so we didn't cause that rigmarole. But we're being set up like photographs, and that's a hostage situation that I am the adult taking care of it. And I want you guys to be the adults also taking care of it. Because we want to say we're protecting our future, we're protecting our kids. That's the most important thing. And there's also a lot of stuff I want to talk about defeating cancer. Yeah, I have this idea about a robot, and it's like a CAT scan with like thousands of lasers, and they focus in all at the same point, and you can just use a computer, and it's like you're printing from. You can just remove tumors from and cancers from the brain or from anywhere from the body just by burning it out instead of radioactive. Radioactive therapy is too it shocks the whole body, and it's like a barrage of particles that you're hoping that the living tissue of the cancer would be annihilated. But to understand it more specifically as the incongruent to the person's uh, entity, but also spiritually, you need to prepare yourself against this and unify yourself through drinking. Alcohol unifies the spirits. It's like that's what sterilizes a tub of And what alcohol, what you have this juice, and it's really good. It's like blood, and that can't go bad, right? It gets unified with alcohol, the spirits. When you drink alcohol, it's a really a unification of your soul, and you become enlightened because you're like, oh, this is so, oh, yeah, this is so delicious. When you're a little bit lucid, you're like, oh, this is the best thing ever. Oh, I feel so good. I feel warm. You know, and this is sort of the best baby glow of being an angel. You know, like honestly, it smells good. Like, yeah, everything's really okay. All right, so right. So the universe is like there are worlds in the universe that are going screaming into black hole decay, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, we're gonna die," and we're actually the fractal planet, and we need to complete the Earth's advanced properties, and producing hatch is the uh, most adult thing we can do. And I'm talking about curing long COVID. I'm talking about breathing mask XR. I'm talking about ozone pup. I'm really excited about that project. Ozone replenishment, bringing these characters to life. It's like each sort of, we're gonna have little seasons where I'm working on an aspect of this and it gnarls together, and people are like, "Oh, I really love that season. Oh, it was so good," and it's just like a mood. People are like they remember there's like one funny joke in the basement or whatever the fuck it was, you know, and so my method of directing is to plan lots of different sort of seance party areas, and some things are going to come into focus sooner than others and be like, oh no, this is really good. So I we want to be the uh, precision doctors of 2022. We want to plant the million seeds using our power of the firebrand whip, the chainsaw calculation of 2022 2023. So it's just a kind of a blitz to the future. Let's exercise our unicorn horn. And there's just like this oppression in the spirit that tries to tell humanity you're not empowered or whatever. And like we've talked about that hydrogen periodic table of elements that explains controlling sunlight is the important relationship you need to have confidence in. And so with the fractal, we can have confidence in a sure line that we have a mature relationship because I've developed the translation microchip because identity parable is the strength of everything. And if you give in to the hive, it literally leads to black hole decay in the epiphysics of everything. Now, it's possible that in the future, the fractal can cause a mature heaven bridge that is the correct solution for aliens and UFOs. That's going to happen naturally, but it would be Momo obvious if they were to invade our uh, resident vista. It's important that we're the ones here and we need to complete the calculation because it's sort of like, and it's also important for you guys to be my friend about advanced Earth stuff. Right? Here's the Earth, the Leverett circle, and I've corrected the Y chromosome as is illustrated in these formation of lakes. And here's the aurora, the halo area that I'd like to develop into master source industries. So I'm looking for the volume of a production and investment that understands the project. It's going to be I think online is going to push the development IRL. Like, I'm going to have an amusement park based on this area on the virtual side, and it's going to be a revolution. And the ozone pup is a huge attraction factor, and I want to turn that into a co-op. Millions of people taking part in a movement about actually rebuilding the atmosphere of Mars and Venus, and sort of becoming the real estate. Uh, you know, developing on that land with super cities, really planning ahead, sustainable energies, and using our experience with the Industrial Revolution and the crash course of, we excessive emissions and the pollution. We say we learned from that, and we planned ahead. It would just be a huge ascension, you guys. This is a real peace uh, area, a peaceful. It's beautiful, and there's like islands here. We'll have little bridges and lights and little restaurants and places that you can stay at, and just a real, human American thing. And it's it's the very well, you guys, it's really the best thing ever. True love, perfect bullseye. I want you guys to produce this like a big movie series. But I was thinking it's like the amount of my style is that I have plenty of raw stuff, and I'm gonna have a crew of very particular artists, and we're gonna work on these things and be very selective about what's really a good clip, and we'll talk about the atmosphere and stuff, you know, and how the story flows, and we'll like really work on it until it's done. I have confidence in that team. You know, thank you guys so much. I'm the director, Revolutionary Hatchband Heliosphere. It's a vast pleasure for me to hang out with my Tinkerbell, my fairy light crusader, Millie the Outlaw. She exists from the fractal as the equation that might sustain her. So, like my phantom 50/50 to help me equate the universe parable through my lifetime lens. I love you guys. You guys, Merry Christmas. I want you to understand I want to give you guys things that are healthy for you. And through our lifetime chi, we're going to find agreement. I want you to be healthy in your body. And I know I trust you to work hard. I trust you to do your best. But I'm telling you, my agreement is I'm working my best for what I can do for your health. I don't curse someone's body. Um, you know what I mean? And it's actually political with the human anatomy. But I'm armored like a tank. And, I'm not like Betty White, who's, gonna get startled with exposure on the news and the flashbang and the headlines, and then she kicks it. I'm swinging battle cruiser Street Fighter, 41 years old. I'm the top hat, the grand fighter, you guys. And building these characters up, it's just a family basin, a fracture of my identity when I was 29. I worked. Oh, and I put all of my mathematical enlightenment into Colin Blue, and I completely gave me amnesia. I lost my mathematical genius. It went straight out and into the blue deck, along with, um, I suppose it was the 10 set theory. But there's this huge amphitheater of this giant robot with big blue eyes that light up, and then there's another shrine where there's a couple different ones, and they do have this like dancing. It's a mechanical blue eye perception thing, and these are parts of the notes of the metals that equate for blue perception calculation on the AI and the existence. And this is important for blue-eyed people. Self-evidently, so when I was building it, there were some of these like there's some grim ostentatious contributions that I would make as my demand. I'm like, this is my cut. Like it has to have this giant robot with blue eyes as like this mascot character of the blue perception microchip. And it'll be like the robot in the battle, the armor of like, it becomes aura for blue perception uh, identity. So this is particular about how to navigate for health and for adults emerging into the advanced world. What we want is a clear path for Earth to intersect with the cell division of the entire universe. And that's correct standing form. We need more boners into the future saying, yes, we're going to keep our planet. We protect the parent. The You guys, seriously, it is an issue on the physics. If you're talking about math, it is an issue of manliness at the end of the day, because it's also that sort of gender confirms. So armor up from within. Earth says that's tasty. You know me, it's the old chief, the old chief. We want a clear path to the ascension of mankind, the enlightenment. And because this thing does exist, there's messenger particles. When humanity is experiencing asphyxiation, that's why we have the language of the greatest possible suffering to rainbow baby. So stillbirth. All right, we're facing like some anti-God stuff here with the COVID-19, and we are the adults that can outmaneuver it. And I'm saying produce hats. There's going to be miracle cures. We can do this through the inflection of my physics, the Earth residency count, and for example, the conceptual weirdness of the flat earthers. Uh, they have absconded critical pro tools that allow us to understand why residency is a sharper computer access. Peripheral on the image, the visuals of our horizon does appear to be flat. So that's actually the entire fulcrum of what flat earthers are absconding, but they're completely ridiculous. Yeah, as if like this sort of phony corpse to mask what is completely obvious is that living on this planet is important for the point of view, like POV and existing on the surface, humanity has it. So whilst we have that plumba, we are the pivots, and so history whips at that lash. So when we're experiencing extinction in the future, we suffer it now in the signs, but it's not spooky because it's always the same kind of living rasp. It's the same accent consistently about create like, whoa, what's in the future? Okay, whoa, watch out for that. So if I'm talking about advanced application and raising up wizards and confirming and that's what my show was about, is really working for everyone in the audience to have a miracle. And so that's what we've achieved with the chain link of the fabric cure, the wizard's table. Welcome to the wizard upgrade. Everyone's being respected here. We're going to create the Lotus update. Thank you for participating with this technology, this interface. And you guys, I really need your production, and I'm really grateful for your friendship here. To reclaim land spell is going to be a good way to get over the blockchain of the junk DNA has a blockchain system of the down that hacks into the also the actual sensation of Earth urgency or the identity of the sunlight going like, you know, you guys, this is really important to me about whilst we live here, producing the 41-year-old Hatchpan heliosphere and making his show about ozone revolution is awesome, and it's gonna be great. So, the problem of the blockchain thing is it's a chameleon, and I'm not trying to give it powers or to say something's there that it ain't, but humanity's had just grim luck, you guys. But it's not actually their fault from the 90s. If we're gonna graduate or survive it at all, is that you need to aggressively have a boner to produce hatch in your mind, right? Because it's racist against the pineal gland. So it's the battle image, the interpretation battle of map translation or the translation of human anatomy is the battle of existence, origin, creation stuff. So battling against anxiety is real because but not to waste your time with madness, but it is relevant, is to understand why we can't pivot on terrorism. We have to use the upper proteins of enlightened reasons to embankment healthy ways. As long as we're working for the preservation of our children, I think we're talking about the same. We're on the same side, Right, but I'm talking about advanced physics where you're going to encounter the beast of existence in this. When you're talking with Hatch, it's really advanced. That's why the Wehrmacht had elected the advanced. For the encounter of society, to encounter the identity of the fractal planet, culture collision, the length of the Beavis, the ancient friends between Eric Cartman and the Vampire King, through our tabernacle. Um, we're working on Clockwork to help everyone in the world find the right Zen and to understand themselves, because ultimately the universe is having an identity crisis. And it is my powerful gentleman's, uh, surprise of the lifetime is that my my work is very important to the identity for humanity to sort of have the enlightenment on their own and sort of be like, oh, hey, we're really cool, you guys. Because there's a bunch of stuff people should be excited about, and they're kind of like, we're still sort of thinking about like this. And I'm like, and it's a little underwhelming, and I'm not, and I'm just saying, I think Hatch is inspirational slash educational. Hatch is exciting. But my finished products, when you guys produce my show, it's not just me talking continuously. Okay, it's gonna be lots of cool new characters. Oh yeah, and a big party of like exciting. Yeah, and I just want you guys to know that, you know, um, my incarnation. I could feel the outrageous pressure, and you guys did a great job through the '90s. And it'd just be double work for you to enlighten the wizard bankment to produce Hatch and to understand the Mandelbrot is the only fractal that contains images of these characters. These other little fractals that have those spiral squigglies, those aren't fetuses. And over here, there's like an X chromosome fractal as well. What? Yeah, but all of these are dwarfed and controlled under the Mandelbrot fractal. So the Mandelbrot fractal is the king planet. And this is critical for the survival of the entire universe. So the power of light enforces that there is a king. So the incarnation on the clockwork wheel is called blah 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 about. And I've managed against the waves of dark existence hacking. And it's the maturity of 2022 that we can now advance and create the revolution for our people. I'd like to have a small department working on Millie and her as like a goddess. She has a whole puppeteer team, or this sort of development. Yeah, they're sort of working on her whole thing. A Master Source Industries is an inspirational place online. People can explore it, and we're gonna activate that and work in steps, little baby steps. And yeah, as it goes, and that's really going to compel the IRL development of the land resource. Uh, when I can balance the land and the operations and the development there, But that's really going to be an adventure for everyone, and I'm just really looking forward to that, you guys. It's my dedication. It's what I want to do with my life. As a professional, I'm a big thinker, a large transformative character. The Earth and I are very close, and my achievements on arrival is like one of Earth's first memories. He's tattooed himself there on the arm. Well, it's important, and you guys are really my close friends. I really love you. You're armored in the golden light of the sun. You have done nothing wrong. You are alive, and so you are the powerful kings of sunlight. You must fight hard to make the day optimized. Do your best. This is the greatest hope for the future. Armor up from within. Trust in the individuals and their heightened capacity. society definitely has things happening in the future where we're going to be super more advanced. We have to get over this idea that humanity is such a deep character that he needs to like stay, you know, or, this is like I want to have a renaissance where we have a big party and people are having a good time, and maybe it's a virtual arena where people are able to hang out and talk. I think it would start that way because I actually want to develop what I'd like to build. I'd like to develop in virtual first, is sort of how. Um, all right, you guys, thank you so much. Thank you. And the type of Zen I am is I can really handle the impact. I do well with pressure, and we have a plan to defeat the black hole decay, and that's why the black hole decay is actually character witness to the karmic undertow of mistreatment to the creation event. So I'm using the full capacity of the creation model of the universe carriage from it's shifted from plan A to plan B, but thank God we never went to plan C. You don't even want to know. Okay, so the creation model has the ability to survive, and that's the priority. The vitals are being sanctioned, and the adults are grinding out the bones of adult issues where they go, some adult shit, and it's real. So, but what do you want me to say about that? It's not that I can do what mhm. I give people a lot of freedom, and I believe that people are proving something in their lifetime, and that there's a mutual thing that everyone, someone fell down or there's a car accident, like people understand that. They're not like, what is this alien thing? They're like, oh yeah, that. So, um, the introduction of permanent documentation is actually to the wielding for the elfin, for the logic. The robot of humanity is a timid character, or they would feel embarrassed that their philosophy and meditation is actually very important to the creation model. They might feel embarrassed by that, uh, but it's a powerful library that exists, as their wings. And that, but at any rate, as we are being threatened, the computer of our resonancy will start to wane and whistle, and give off these signals like COVID-19 and other types of apocalyptic seasons that are not global killers, because we are the adults before the flood, and we're going to have the affirmative reaction times 1 million. We're planting the seeds to the cure now to eliminate the apocalypse. And, good luck. I'm certainly not going to use terrorist instrument to make my company grow. But I had significant frustration last year because the asphyxiation of my company development and the debacle was actually, uh, a pressurized system that collapsed an entire Asian lung. And so I had to go through Kobikicho and make all the enemies in the world so I could build up some musculature and flip the beagle because there's a goddamn in the identity of the seabed, the Japanese seabed floor has a face of a Asian goddess that can contain 4 or 5 generations stack, the memory of her ghost inheritance. It's written on the seabed floor, and this counters the ruins of the Atlantic. And the argument about the grandfathering of alien technology being the gods of mankind, certainly not. So it causes black hole decay. It's already been measured and proven by 100 angels. And when this court of heavens are formed, there will be law and there will be justice for the child. For the boy has the light. And that is the calculation of the earth, 2022. From Earth says that's tasty. Armor up for the next step of the wizard enchantment. We're achieving our meditation. For the circle of wizards, all creatures who are attending this meditation, Your entire family tree embankment receives total nourishment and total recovery, total rebuild with the turbo after boosters and the magical enhancement for your epidermis is the immaculate surface tension for your ghost meditation be enhanced beyond the uh, supposed human impression, which is like a hazing from over yonder. It's like a General Downs, like, but things really just aren't that bad. Honestly, living is like it's like we're in heaven. It's like we're an angel. Okay, it's but we all want really want to get to that. So that's a lot of the visuals we'll be having. Millie, it will be beautifully, artfully uh, levitating upon the levitt surface, and we will be a sort of spiritual lotus that people around the world they'll see and translated versions, and I think it's going to be very popular. And we'll talk about relevant science, and I'm going to strain for pressurized systems. I like to talk about these solutions with this energy theory for solutions for long COVID and these other things about microbots. There's a lot of new stuff. Humanity's going through like, oh, it's like Rapidash. And, the adults need to talk about it to leapfrog a bunch of busted legs because we were getting our souls totally murdered. But of course, the body snaps to the grid. You have a nightmare but you wake up and you're like, oh, I'm going here. But honestly, like people, like if you have a stroke or something, you can tell there's like a spiritual wound or like part of them is like shattered out the side. So you have to consciously rebuild yourself as the robot and send yourself maybe a tether, like a life preserver, like get that dream untethered. Like that's not me. Um, you know, just flip it out and then and kind of get through it like a real living creature would. Yeah, I govern my soul. I, just cough that out, and it actually there's a lot of that going on. And that's political to because of conditioning. We need to not be going out with that evidence. There's like a melting iceberg of evidence of like a generation of older people being like, well, I don't feel, you know, and I'm like, it's really not that time. It's not about, but that's not a specific. That's something abstract. Thank you guys so much for understanding and all this, and I'm really excited. To it's enlightened to understand. The fractal has images of self. And this is like my hair. All right, this is where the power of women and the rock brought together my incarnation. So I'm the champion of women's reality, and the reality contains this black hole decay. So I had to become this sort of wiry scientist. And I went through all kinds of stuff, and the ghosts would try to explain to me, that these things, researching this material will make you, lose your things. I found it to be quite reasonable. So let me just thank you guys so much for joining the party. Uh, I'm concerned about this other side of the year and the psychic relationship to it. Like only sometimes can you feel your hair. You'll have like an epiphany and you'll be like, "Oh, I can feel my hair. It's like alive." Like you should actually always be able to feel your hair. So certain sensations like the dead canary. So if there's a dead canary in the cage, you know not to go into the because there's like dangerous gases that are going to kill you. So with a dead canary like that your numbskull, you can't feel your hair. Okay, that means that our past is actually being erased in the vacuum of time meditation, like a weed killer is being sprayed at us, and it gives you guys general reasons for apathy. Like we're old people, we're just like, it's an environmental crisis. It's a party for the kids. You gotta, yeah. So we're gonna give them the ozone replenishment, you guys. It's really good time. You guys, thank you so much for joining the party today. Receive the update from Aluminum. Earth True says that's tasty. Clockwork Dimension. There is also a fractal icon completely dedicated to Clockwork. The Clockwork Wizards are real creatures. And because of the fractal enlightenment, it means that there's a fraction of each and every one of your soul that you can contribute to through your lifetime, but you can also access it in your afterlife in the tabernacle of your library generated of the instances in your life, translated through clockwork into your new. There's a dimension of clockwork people that is part of the heaven bund for Earth origin creation model plan B. So the root system that equates that the aliens and UFOs are the design masters of everything is not there. The universe is black hole decay, and the humans did not cause it. It's self-evident that I'm not going to prescribe blame to these babies. You understand me? But also, when you're an adult, we are like the fetus people are like responsible for like everything, basically. So that's why it's not. Anyway, there is heaven and hell, but it is dealt with maturely. And though people might groan about it, a lot of old people will only be satisfied if they have an even thing. But we do not perform terrorism in the afterlife. Okay, but for the living, there's a hell of a lot of shocks. And I'd say that, being alive in 2022 is scary. It's just like, yeah, and I'm like, you guys, like, thank you so much, um, and working to balance the fingerprint with the earth true, and we're making excellent progress. We want to create a movement, and the kids are going to own it like a co-op. They'll own the whole Mars and Venus reclaim land spell, and that means residency cunt. And you guys got to remember to have a boner in your brain. Don't be thwarted by the ethics of, but it's like the things that hack people is like the false aura, um, brain aura that causes where your ghost goes after you die. Spawn location fever with like a type of aura, a type of brain waves. It's like a different cheat. But I'm saying that these temporal humbug styles is actually a ghost infection that they injected using a laser. And whereas the fractal one is completely natural and sort of envelops up from electricity itself, because otherwise it would be an invasion of someone's privacy and otherwise identity image. And the fractal is not designed to perform physics of identity crime, etc. Right? Okay. So moral things will happen, and that's why Hatch is an advanced performance for adults. I'm so glad. Thank you guys for being here. Oh, this is what I wanted to talk about. Let's just look at this image through relevant upstate. The reality is awakening, and so we're very advanced, super philosophical creatures, and the full body image of reality. Children today are born in a kingdom of light, a kingdom of hope, where we have a breathing ventricle and we're getting around some big and heavy, clunky 200 years in the future. Extinction. And that's why we're having dead babies right now, and that's kicking our fucking ass. Rainbow babies is not acceptable. Long COVID needs to be defeated down to the last of it. And that means we need, this is our dialogue. I want to go there with this show. Please produce Hatch immediately. Is passionate for the muscles of the boner in the mind. Or have a chain link of the chainsaw blade connecting to 2023. Or get a cushioning here for the next month, the next year. It's an entire calendar that's fluctuating, and we want to really powerfully optimize our existence. In the Lotus of our lifetime, that is our dedication. Just touch your forehead and you'll have activated an undeniable sequence that's locked in and unavoidable to perfect your existence totem. This enlightens your ghost. You are the enhanced human that can save children. For the incline of my movement provides real life-saving instrument to prevent rainbow baby syndrome, a type of energy, and they're going to find a cure. Come on now, we can do it. Loop Labs and Leverett, we need it. It's the one. Thank you guys so much for being my friend. It's the advanced course for American free speech. I need the publication, and in the development, while I'm recording, um, it's sort of like what we're doing right now. We're having like a party, but I expect that there'll be these other puppeteers, and some people will be working from at home. We'll have some virtual things because I want to do that. Like, oh, there's like this haunted TV on the wall where there's like, oh, the SPR guy, so some like really really talented person like it becomes part of the company, and while I'm working with energy consultants and stuff, that guy's there and he's like, has something really smart to say, and that made it onto the movie, and they're like, oh, that was perfect. Yeah. So it's really the camaraderie. We're gonna quilt work that together. I'm the boss of it, and it's a story about American ingenuity, business startup, and I'd love to follow that process without abusing any of these laws about um, making a show about a business. I know that might be touchy, so I just need that guidance, right? So we have a teamwork there, and we make the baby steps so that we're making a show is very progressive. I think it's going to encourage the economy. We're going to stabilize the economy because people are basically like, "What is holding shit together?" And we've got a bunch of like cryptocurrencies or whatever coming out. This is like this is the Winnie of the society, like talking in adult ways. You'd be surprised your computer talks back to you intelligently, and of course, it's just like a giggling baby. But the modern individual needs to respond intelligently, be like, yes, I'm so glad. Oh, yeah, you're right about what you're seeing, computer, Um, but the intensity of the horizon is truly accessed with the green perception with the diagonal. When the blue parable, the physics of his circle in the intersection with the flat earth thing is like the computer interface. So that's why it's personal, not to get hacked. It's political, not to get hacked by the blockchain of the system of the down junctine. And the reason I tell some of those adult stories is because I want to explain the curvature of why I have this outrageous American accent and the reasons of my particular uh, uh, rationale. And I believe in also the free energy of like people can invent their own cure for cancer. I really want that to happen. Right. And I'm, making progress towards making my own laser bed. It has to do with stuff I learned on YouTube actually about new lasers that, and I'm like, what, let's combine these things, and I'm pretty sure I can pioneer a new wave of like curing a different type of sickness or something. Um, you know, focusing all the lasers into a pinpoint where you're just burning out something that's not supposed to be there. It's like it's healthier than using radiation. And so it's really these. I have a book full of inventions of stuff that I know is really modern, and it's gonna be a great movie to talk about. And I'm hoping that each of these things like opens up and creates that attraction online where people are like, "Oh, could we talk more about that?" And I'm like, "Oh, great, yeah," and we'll get that developed. All right, thank you so much, you guys. Pivoting on the Where map. So the creation model is in the Plan B form, and we require human self-mastery to save the universe from death. You have to hatch seeds for eggs, so the greater boners you guys have for producing hatch proves that humanity isn't broken. And it's the mastery of your orientation in reality to transcend, do something enlightened, and to transcend the sort of uh, there's a bunch of relevant talking in tongues and people with madness. And but I think the triumph of the one individual who can walk in, like, it might take them hundreds of years to ascend to the clockwork prism and realize that they're an angel or something, but like it's there for them in the future, and it's this is sort of the sort of things I can do to stabilize the ascension of um, hatch the heliosphere eggs. So my arrival signals the fetus in the center of the sun, and it's a boy. The Earth is the king stallion heliosphere of the entire universe, the greatest heliosphere, and he's actually the Earth's mastery as a planet is so perfect that it has caused the divinity to hatch all the other heliosphere eggs in the universe. And that's why it's plan B and why the creation model doesn't seek back to the grandfather clock of a bunch of uh, essentially microbots. In the view of the universe, they're just like a little microvirus, but they're like a planet-sized UFO who's going like, "We're what now?" And I'm like, "Well, don't Momo obvious because that's really what I'm personally, physically, that's what I'm concerned about. This asphyxiation and the hate cloud. Okay, there's dark energy being projected at us for a gross, and all right, I'm a much bigger fan of of the individual's expression and the soul basin, but there's an agony in the warpage, and there's much expressions there. So, like yeah. So, expedient and to become enlightened is to produce hatch, to clarify the brain waves. I'm using the Vampire King, and this is what actually replaces the leads to black hole decay. Aurora, yeah, brain glow, which is not the ghost of humans, it's the four regress. And it is a constant sieve down. It's like, it's a humbug that it will give you anxiety, it will torture you. It is, uh, but that's like the ghost of the black hole decay, and so it's relevant adult shit when people are like, oh, you know, people going, having real stuff, and I'm like, hey, bring it down a notch, buddy, because I'm talking about solutions. You need to pay the fucking attention. Ozone replenishment, robot revolution leads to Venus and Mars returning to breathable atmosphere, and humans are going to live there. We'll launch the project to reassemble the rocks of the asteroid belt to reform the orange planet, which returns a greater symmetry and ownership over our heliosphere for advanced angel interweaving for the development, of course, of this heliosphere egg. Which is like, yeah, the unbearable lightness of existence is like because of these asshole divergent virus, stalker, hostage keeping UFO might asphyxiate our boys with Momo. Obvious is the worst thing in the universe. The Earth hates them because they attacked Mars and Venus and are like, well, if humans are broken, no, humans aren't broken. They're talking about it right fucking now, and they've got a headache because you're sending hate waves at us, and then oh, that proves that we're broken. Is bullshit. They're just their madness is causing them to become the ones who have caused that are responsible directly for black hole decay. It's like an eradication field because they must not invade the boy's image like this. It's not. It's like it's the most primary physics, and it would be so immature of them to do that, to follow through with invasion. They need to allow the resident covering of human to provide the answers, and that is what is natural. So basically, just stay where you're comfortable at being and live there for the next million years. That's the word up for that's what the clockwork is telling through the fractal to everyone in the universe. And so we need to continue giving the smooth enlightenment music to provide living chi for the UFO and aliens. I'm not excluding them. It's just that this is a private, like, beginning of creation time for humanity exclusive. And it's physically critical for the sake of identity physics to follow the bedrock and the moral law and the type of deadlights rose occurrence and these types of asphyxiation. This is also in the reality of my doctorate and my expertise in living. My flat dimensional midbrain causes me to have incredible physical health. So I'm in perfect shape at present day. So I'm just really excited to work with you guys and partner. And I'm working on human grade epidermal static constant armor. It's like a mithril, like a elf light. It's like an elf cloth that increases health and luck, and that just increases the vernacular, allows people to be speaking about something that's more advanced, and that's what I'm talking about, increasing society. But when I approach humanity, they start like, "Meow," like having some reaction, like some animals. And the thing is that junk DNA itself was designed to rupture this partnership with me. And like I've stabilized things to a point where I'm looking for that adult relationship where they're like, we've gone through the fires of, uh, you know, total hatred. We're out. We are the circle of wizards. We are friends on Earth, and we want to work together. And we know what you're talking about. Electricity and the path that goes forward is like a fractal, like a lightning bolt that governs left, right. And also fractals govern bud, and the reason that makes people get high is actually because of fractals. And it's huge deal. And I'm streamlining the whole fractal triangle ascension to humanity because of for the sanctioning of the heavens parameters, Omega Pan. You know, using a delicate or a sensitive instrument like Earth, if they are thoughtful and sensitive people, this is obviously the sharpness of heaven's dawn, not the weakness of the child, not the weakness of the person. The solution in the Zen or the poetry of humanity's existing there. Obviously, the pineal gland is a mousetrap. Obviously the expression of identity is going to cling to, and the water bowl has already explained that, water does listen to the intentions of the person who lives in their body. So the major physics are already, the 60% of the company ownership is is with the person who living there, but it's literally the holy war. And like that's why, we have to battle against foie gras and work for advanced things such as producing Hatch media. And thank you guys so much. We can save lives working together. And oh, yeah, that's a good hour and a half. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. It's sort of an exhausting course to work with me, I know, but it's really worth it. It's like with lifting weights. I want you guys to know I love you, and you're powerful in the ethos, and just want to share the blessings of Earth's treasure, Earth's identity, and the relevant season that we're in. The clockwork align. Communication is magical with Hatch, and transcending like an environmental hack is to pierce the veil of madness and understand that we should produce Hatch even though he's triggering my nightmare sequence. We start having, the night shouts, because I am actually a physical artipiece of the entire creation model. So I'm totally personal to everyone in the universe. So usually people just have a really intense reaction to me, and that's been the information of my professional uh, suit. All right, you guys, thank you so much. So Wizard Armor up. We're gonna have the bonus level, and the vortex of our residency is sustained. That the triangle is not yet completed. So the vortex of freedom is upheld here on Earth. The fractal is enduring time, and the identity of the fractal is a mathematical expression discovering its identity for the first time. It's like the atomic rainbow's awakening unilaterally, discovering who's causing this black hole decay, and they're pissed. So we've got a lot of new defenses and a scientific comprehension for the humans uh, because they are speaking concisely as correct children. And I'm trying to connect the adult issue of Earth's fractal capacity through production and partnership. Please produce Hatchpan as soon as you earthly possible. And this will be the actual clockwork and the precision for your human standing and the ghost to propel you for your. It's like the apocalypse of mankind. But it's important that these things line up properly in time. So it's a perfect pivots from the wear map, causing the human ascension. At the time when I'm professionally rightly met, the human becomes enlightened through the physics of that, because the severance of the grandfather clock uh, means that the electric and the fractal, so your factual achievements whilst you live, is the sort of deeper elf fact bedrock. Oh, it's the bedrock of like the Hashiras for eggs. But it's the electric promise without hamper. But humans be limping around with this junk DNA uh, accent, and it actually lies about what's possible. It injures the electric promise. Like we're basically prototypes for the Hashiosphere eggs, but you know what that means is that a lot of these little robots are not going to survive a million years. So like, and it's really complicated. So you're looking around at like disposable soldiers, right? Yeah, little animals that could fall up, you know. Oh no, like that little sheep thing just like died, and it's like, wait a minute, you know. So the thing about us being a prototype is like, yes, it's legit, but the nuance of like Slaughterhouse 5 is like ringing all around the world, right? So it's really interesting, and what I mean to say is, of course, that I'm working on a ghost bone structure for the humans to help filter out the infections, but it's the I have to abide with the moral law also, which is self-evident that I'm not yet published, like I'm yet struggling to communicate with people, and that's sort of self-evident that I'm not like forcing my I'm not trying to do something bad. Like I want to find my pack of wolves that are wanting to work with me because so that they can earn extra powers. Or at least, make society better. But we need to be like optimistic, like, yeah, let's a boner in the brain, like let's actually be wanting for powers and I want to earn lots of money for the ozone. Let's go. This sounds cool. And I want to get it animated, have this party, wizard party. Yeah. Thanks, you guys, for being like the sorcerers of it. I love you guys. Please, I need a big production value, lots of money. Please spend it on me. It's gonna save the world. It's really gonna help you guys. This is a good thing to do. Produce a show. I love you guys. Thank you so much. Armor up and have a blessed life. And I love you guys. Thank you. Merry Christmas. It is good.